with a cup of warm goodness anytime. We're here for you. With a cup of warm goodness anytime. We're here for you.
And good morning. I'm Leanne Lindsay, your guest host today, as I'm sitting in for Peggy Berryhill. And I've got a double header up for you today, a really good one. We've got Tara Jasper. Tara Jasper, thank you very much, from Sip Song Spirits. She's sitting in the waiting room right now, waiting for us to get going on our morning show. But first, I've got a few announcements. And then after Tara, I've got John Osborne, who is going to give us some movies and TV shows to watch this holiday season. And Tara is going to be talking to us about some holiday cocktails and give us an update on how Sip Song Spirits is doing these days. We talked with her a couple of years back, I think it was. And before we get into that, though, again, we do have some announcements today. And one of those is that the Mendonoma Health Alliance has an open house tomorrow on Wednesday, December the 7th at 4 to 5 p.m. And they are doing a peer recovery support program. And this is for all the local residents in recovery from addiction, and all guests will receive swag, door prizes, and have the opportunity to contribute to the design of the program. And if you have any questions, please call them at 707-412-3176, extension 102, or you can email them at info@mendanomahealth.org. And that is a very good program that Mendonoma Health is offering. Plus, they offer so many great services to our community, especially for those who are returning from the hospital and need support in doing follow-up care and management of their medications. That's a good service they provide. Also coming up this weekend, it is Hometown Holidays in Point Arena, and that's going to be Saturday, December the 10th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. However, I can see starting 7 a.m., the Arena Market and Cafe is going to be open, and they will have sample tables and 5% discount all day. And the Center Street Market will be open as well with hot cocoa and peppermint sticks starting 7 a.m. And also, of course, our wonderful Franny's Cup and Saucer will be open around 8 a.m. with all their lovely pastries and cookies. And they'll have complimentary chai and sweet treats. And then you've got free admission to the Point Arena Lighthouse starting 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and so much more. You can look up online about Hometown Holidays. It's put on by the Point Arena Merchants Association. And they also have a craft fair at Druids Hall. Let's see, that's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that is going to do it for our announcements today. Oh, there is one more, and that is that Ling Yin is going to be at Dolphin Gallery. I believe they are exhibiting today with a photographer, Scott Sheffro. So take a look at the Dolphin Gallery if you get a chance to do that. So welcome to Peggy's Place. Again, we are KGUA in Walala, 88.3 FM. We are streaming around the world at kgua.org on the Air Pocket app, which you can download to your favorite device and be able to have the icon to click into at any time to check in with your favorite shows. And we have with us today Tara Jasper, who is a sea rancher and founder of Sip Song Spirits, a distillery over in Healdsburg area here in Sonoma County, next door to us, next door to Mendocino County. And they produce award-winning gin. In fact, she received a double gold from the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. She has 3 children with husband Dane, a horse at the Sea Ranch Equestrian Center named Charlie. She's a private pilot. And let's see what else. Oh, they donate a portion of Sip Song revenues to early breast cancer detection. And she can tell us a little bit more about that too. So we're going to talk to her today again about the cocktails for the holidays and get an update on Sip Song Spirits, because I keep seeing these posts that all these new restaurants are carrying the gin and these bars. Welcome, Tara.
Hi, Leanne. Thanks so much for having me.
It's
And
great.
what a beautiful intro. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it is really good to see you, especially after I saw that post about Harris Steakhouse in San Francisco, which I've been to before. They just started carrying your gin.
They did it. They are a San Francisco icon, and it's just such an honor to be on their menu. They're serving my Fight Like a Girl cocktail. And I got to come in and train the whole staff about what it is and why I'm promoting it, why I want women to know how and what I mean by fight like a girl. What is that? Because for me, when I got breast cancer and then I found out that I had the BRCA genetic predisposition, I learned that my cancer was preventable. It was very easily detectable and preventable because they do an over-the-counter test now that any woman can order for herself, and they just use your saliva. They send you the test to your home. You spit in a little straw and you send it back. And then that is your information to have. And if you find out that you have the genetic predisposition, it means that I have the BRCA2 gene, which gives me almost 90% chance of getting breast cancer. And then if you drink alcohol, it's almost 100%. So that's why I shouldn't probably have started a distillery, but I didn't know that I had the BRCA gene.
In fact, I think you had mentioned once before that you were recovering from cancer treatments when you discovered that you'd actually won the double gold.
Yes, I was. Yes, it was quite a surprise. I mean, I knew I loved my gins and that they're delicious, but I was surprised because a double gold means that every single judge in the competition gave it a gold, and it's the most prestigious, largest competition for spirits in the country. So it was scary just to think about entering it, and then to get an award that is very rarely given. It means a great deal. And so a place like Harris's, when they see that, they're like, we want to give this girl a chance. Like, let's have her in. Let's taste what she's got. And they love all my gins. And so I'm hoping someday they'll do like a whole trilogy gin flight, because I make 3 gins, and I think they're all so different. It's really fun to taste them side by side. So that's sort of my dream, is that places like that would like to do that. I think they might. Well, fingers crossed.
Well, we are on YouTube as well. So for those that are on YouTube, I wanted to share my screen because I've got your website up and it has some of the cocktails here that you have recipes for on the website at sipsongspirits.com. So
yes.
are these some of the ones that you were just talking about?
Yeah, I mean, those are all, I think all of those are with my Indira gin. So I created Indira first. She's the spicier, more complex gin. And then my other gins I only make seasonally, and they usually sell out pretty quickly. I'm trying to make more. This year I made more of my spring gin than I ever have by a lot. So I'm hoping to have spring gin all the way until spring. We'll see. And then I make a gin with fresh cashmere and comet hops. And so it's just really beautiful. And the cool thing is, this has really not been legal until COVID. Spirits could not be sold online direct from a distillery until COVID.
That's right.
So now I can sell all of my gins on my website and ship them anywhere in the state of California. And that's a really big deal for a small distillery like mine, because especially with my single batch, like I only made 1 batch of the hopped gin, and it will sell out quickly. I'm saving some so that just in case some restaurants want to put it in the trilogy flight, I would love a gin flight to be served with Sip Song. So I'm saving some of it for that. But but direct to consumer, that will sell out quickly, what I have left for that. So it went all out to my gin club. I have a little gin club, and they get those special seasonal gins. And then I make a cocktail pairing for the club. And I have some of the cocktails left too. So I haven't put that on the website, but reach out to me directly if you're interested. It's basically this, I try to make them super simple because most of us around here are wine drinkers. And so a complex cocktail situation where you need to have like 6 different ingredients is too much. And I get it. So I make these really simple. It's like equal parts. Put this in with the gin, shake it, you're done.
That's what I needed when I first got my first kit. I was so appreciative because I am, not used to mixing cocktails, but you help people along with, here are the step-by-step instructions, and you give them the ingredients to use.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what the Gin Club is definitely about, teaching people how to make amazing cocktails and make it really simple.
And some of the restaurants here on the coast that are carrying your gin, is it the Sea Ranch Lodge and Timber Cove Resort?
Yes, those 2 right now. I haven't been into anywhere else. I need to. Maybe next time I'm up. It's just I'm always so busy with Charlie the horse and my kids that I tend to not to work too much when I'm out there. But I did go into to Timber Cove. And they loved it, and they put Fight Like a Girl on their menu. I'm not sure if it's still on there because sometimes when there's turnover of the staff, then they can't figure out how to get my gin. It's tricky. I'm with a little distributor, and because I'm too small to be with the big distributors, so you kind of have to know me and know how to get it. So maybe I need to go back and visit the Timber Cove. But
they really like that Fight Like a Girl.
Oh yeah, because
it's great. It's very popular.
It's great when I can go in and educate the staff. So there's a whole bunch of hotels in Los Angeles that picked it up as well this year. And they're the Pacifica group of hotels. And they just totally believe in what I'm doing. And so they invited me down. I spent 3 nights in their hotels down there on the beach, and one in downtown LA, the Wayfarer in downtown LA. They have like a beautiful rooftop bar and a speakeasy underneath. There's 3 bars just in that hotel. And they were all serving Fight Like a Girl in each of these hotels, the 2 beachfront ones and the downtown one. And they decided to have a competition who could sell more Fight Like a Girl cocktails. And while they're doing this, my website is getting so many hits on my Fight Like a Girl page. So on that page, I go into depth. I wrote an article explaining why it's really important every woman knows whether or not they're BRCA. And because if you can prevent cancer entering your body, it's really important, especially if you are a BRCA, because we tend to get more aggressive types of cancer. So we have an opportunity to save our own lives. I wish, and I know that this will happen eventually, our healthcare system will make it part of the normal care for every woman, but it's not. It's not happening yet. It's not happening fast enough. So I've signed up to do a TED Talk next year about this. I just feel like I have to be really loud because, unfortunately, I'm going in for a biopsy today. I have another lump. So you just don't want cancer in your body. Like if you can prevent it and you're going to get it, like you've got to prevent it. So we need to know, every woman needs to know, are you BRCA? And it's so easy to find out now. So just on the Sipsum page, on the Fight tab, I have a link to the best over-the-counter test there is. It tests for the most number of genes. There's a huge misinformation going on. You've heard of 23andMe.
Yes.
I'm going to kind of talk down to them for a minute. I really don't like that they say that they do BRCA testing. And I talk to well-educated women who think that they've been BRCA tested. Oh yeah, I did that. I did that on 23andMe. And I'm like, ooh, well, there's a lot more genes that they don't test for. So then you get a false negative. They only test for 3 genes. And the one I recommend tests for 63 genes. So you really need, and it says it in the fine print. So nobody knows that they're not actually getting a thorough test.
And this DNA testing company that you're talking about, they're local. They're out of San Francisco, aren't they?
They're local, but they do test anywhere in the world. So you could be in Kenya and order a test and they will ship it to you. And then you spit in the little thing and you ship it back. And it's pretty amazing, honestly.
Well, if you're just tuning in, you are listening to Tara Jasper of Sip Song Spirits, and she is a sea rancher, also lives over in Healdsburg with husband Dane and their 3 children. And this is a distillery located out of, is it also Healdsburg or Windsor nearby?
It's in Windsor, right by my kids' school. My littlest was starting kindergarten when I started the distillery. So I was looking for something close to the school. And I'm in a lot of the restaurants here in Healdsburg and Geyserville. And I haven't really broken into Santa Rosa that much. It's sort of like this whole other world down there that I'm not really super connected with. But
I really love that a portion of the revenues goes towards early cancer detection.
Well, what it goes towards is, so every Fight Like a Girl cocktail, when a restaurant puts the Fight Like a Girl on the menu, I'm donating a significant portion of that bottle sale to them, to a program that I actually started at Sutter Health. So I'm on the board of the philanthropy board for Sutter Health in the North Bay. And they love the work that I'm doing for promoting BRCA testing. And so we decided to start an event actually this year. It happened in June, and there's so many things that happened from the event. It's really, really cool. So we're definitely doing it again next year. But we raised our goal. We raised $100,000, and that money went towards a bunch of different things, but a survey throughout the whole Sutter group, that then if anyone has even just one instance of cancer in their family, they then qualify to get BRCA tested through Sutter. Instead of 2 people previously, you had to have 2 people. And they had to both have breast cancer or ovarian. Like, it was very specific. Now it's like much more available, but the goal should be that anybody, whether they have history or not, because the thing with BRCA, your dad can give it to you, and your dad doesn't have breasts and your dad doesn't have ovaries. So he would have no actual instance of cancer and he could still give you the gene. So that whole thing about family history doesn't necessarily make sense. But I don't know why we need a non-medical professional to tell us this, but it's like, yeah, okay. So I know lots of women
out there fighting like a girl to make this happen.
Yeah, I know lots of women that have gotten it from their dad's side. So with no family history, and now they have, one of my friends has stage 4 ovarian, because dads don't have ovaries, you know.
Right. And your sister tested as well.
My sister is positive. And so it's a really cool, in my article, I go into detail about it, but basically she was able to remove her breasts and get what we call the free boob job. It's amazing. They do a built-in bra. They pump them up whatever size you want. Like, oh, that looks good. Okay, let's stop there. And then she loves them. And I love mine too. And it's not scary. You keep your skin, you keep your nipples. It looks like you, only more symmetrical, and you don't have to wear a bra anymore. It's pretty amazing. And then they remove your ovaries and fallopian tubes as well. And the difference is, because I had cancer, I have to block all hormones in my body. So I don't get to have any hormones for normal bone, brain, heart, all these important things, health. But she gets to wear a hormone patch. So she has not gone into menopause. She's 3 years older than me, but she's going to have a longer, healthier life because of her finding out before she had cancer. So I think really it would be ideal if every woman by the age 20, 25, somewhere in there, was BRCA tested. Like, just like we're doing the colon cancer screenings.
Right.
Just like that.
I'm glad that you're doing this with your company, you're able to do like a 1-2 punch and raise the awareness and sit on the board at Sutter is fabulous. And again, if you are just tuning in, this is Tara Jasper with Sip Song Spirits. This is Peggy's Place. I'm Leigh Ann Lindsay, the guest host today, and we are airing on 88.3 FM along the coast, streaming around the globe on kgua.org. There's an Air Pocket app that you can download to your devices. And also we are live on YouTube right now. And we will be able to rebroadcast this again at 1 o'clock. So if you missed anything, you can catch it again at 1 o'clock. And we have coming up at the half hour another guest. We got a double header today. But one thing, Tara, I wanted to go back to is the foundation that you've got for doing gin in the first place. You went to culinary school and developed your senses, your tastes. Tell us a bit about that. And then since we did want to talk about some holiday cocktails, we can kind of move on into that as well.
Oh, sure. Yes. I've always had a really sensitive palate. So I remember being a kid and being pretty fussy about things. And, it was hard to explain to my mom, the strawberries, they taste like garlic. Like, why? But turns out my mom would use a wooden cutting board, and she had made, something the night before and cleaned it, but I could still taste. Nobody else in my family could, but I just couldn't handle it. I was like, ah! So I've always been sensitive. And, my husband would give me a hard time about being high maintenance about things I eat and put in my body, but I really I'm sensitive. So that turns out that it's called a super palate. There's a name for it.
Right.
And going to culinary school was so much fun. I was I'd finished college and I was, working in the industry and the profession that I was trained for as an accountant. And I just really was miserable. And so my husband at the time, we were just dating. Yeah. But he was like, what do you love to do? Try doing what you love to do. So I was like, well, I'm going back to school. And the Santa Rosa Junior College culinary program is amazing. That's where I went. And
right here in Santa Rosa.
Yeah, it was fabulous. And they have so many great instructors that have been there a long time. And couldn't speak highly enough about Betsy Fisher and her whole team over there.
And so that led you into creating this company or developing the gin. How did you do that in the first place?
Oh gosh, it was totally just curiosity, experimentation. And it's amazing what we have at our fingertips as far as what we can learn through if you become obsessed about something, you really can become an expert through if you're obsessed with it. I mean, I would every which way. I would travel, I would go to distilleries, I would call up the best distillers in the world, just be like, Hi, Hubert Germain Brabant. My name's Tara.
Oh, I love it.
He's so sweet. He talked to me from France. He's got the cutest little accent. Actually, we still talk. He's become a mentor of mine, and he's an 11th generation distiller. So I love talking to him. It's so, I think once you find what lights you up, it was just like a giant light bulb went off in my head, and I knew that that's what I could use my superpower for. But I didn't realize
superpowers, and one of them is flying, and you've even combined flying with events lately too.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Getting to use my love of flying to get where I need to be has been so awesome. It's just a double whammy combining my two favorite things.
I really miss flying. I got my pilot's license many, many years ago. But
I'm going to pick you up for sure. And that's the greatest thing about Sea Ranch, that we have an airstrip there is unbelievable.
I used to love to do touch and goes over at Half Moon Bay because the runway was so dang long, but that was built for, I think it was the Second World War, for some of the bigger planes to land. But it is like 7,000 feet long runway.
Oh, wow. No wonder it takes so long to taxi down the other end. It takes forever.
And Ashland, Oregon also has a similar runway. I remember flying into there once with a friend of mine. But I go, I can see how that passion for flying and for creating kind of go hand in hand. And what are some of the flavors that you are thinking about for this holiday season, for some of the cocktails that could be on the agenda for people's menus?
Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I always tell people to look in your garden and see what's going on there. I love to use things that I'm growing in my cocktails. So for me right now in my garden, my passion fruits are almost ready. I have some beautiful winter citrus. My neighbor has a rainpour lime tree. So for me, it's definitely about what I have going on in my garden. So my lemon verbena is beautiful right now. But if you
This
don't,
is not in your Sea Ranch home. This is in your Healdsburg.
this is in the Healdsburg home. Yeah, in my Sea Ranch home, it's more about the mushrooms. So I don't know how we do cocktails with mushrooms, but we definitely cook with them. But yeah, French 75 is one of my favorites going into the holidays. So you use lemon and gin, and then you sweeten it you could sweeten it with honey syrup, or you could use a simple syrup. And that you shake and dilute and chill with the shaker, and then you top it with sparkling wine. And so that recipe is on my website. And another trick that I do to kind of fancy it up a little bit is
I'm going to share the screen so I can show the recipe right there.
There it is. Yeah. And I take a little absinthe. I always have absinthe in a little spray bottle, and I spray the glass with the absinthe. So then when you top it off with your sparkling wine, the effervescence from the sparkling wine is like, oh my God, it's so amazing with the absinthe. And I have an absinthe I recommend as well. And I sell a kit usually around the holidays. I haven't gotten it together yet, but usually I have a French 75 kit on my website.
And here are some of the other recipes there on your website.
Yes. Let's see. There is another one that is really fun this time of year, because this is the time of year when everybody is getting sick. And there's a cocktail called the penicillin.
Oh,
and it's lemon, ginger, and honey. And you shake that with gin. And it's, I don't have that one on my website. I should add it.
Okay.
But you can just Google penicillin cocktail. You'll find it. That's delicious with Indira. And Surf Market just started carrying Indira, and they have the spring gin as well, which is huge. Spring gin is hardly ever in a retail store. So there's only 2 retail stores that have the spring gin.
Oh, really? Okay.
Surf Market is one, and the Big John's in Healdsburg is the other one. So
you mentioned before, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you to ask more questions, how would they do that?
I think there's a spot where you can reach out to me on the website. You can send me an email from the website. That's a good way to get in touch.
I'm looking for that. I don't see how to contact.
Let's see. I know I've heard that it's not, I don't make it easy.
It could be at the bottom.
It might be at the bottom.
No, I don't see it down there either.
I'm 21. Okay.
Well, is it Tara at Sip Song Spirits?
It is. Yeah. Oh, subscribe to the newsletter. Okay, let's see. I should know my website better than that. It's been a while. Well, you could ask about the society. That's one way. If you click on society, the Secret Sippers, and then you can send me an email. So it's name, email, phone, and message, and then we'll send me a message.
Great. And also they can order kits there on your website to have delivered to their home, thanks to what happened during the pandemic, as you were saying.
Yes. If you go to In California, so you go to Shop Gin, and then you go to In California, it'll take you to, oh, I do have the French 75 on there. Haha. See, I wasn't sure if I did that or not. I'm doing so many things sometimes I can't quite keep track. What I've done yet and what is still on the to-do list.
But these will be great holiday gifts for sure, these kits. for yourself or for your friends. And
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows where to go to see more information and to how to get in touch with you, because Tara, we're up at the end of our time.
Well, that went so fast, Leanne. Thank you so much for
know.
having me.
And I wanted to introduce you to John as he's just about to join us. He's our next guest. But John also has been taking some of your gin and making cocktails with your gin that I gave him a bottle of Sip Song Spirits. So, John, this is Tara.
Hi, John.
Oh, it looks like his audio's not on.
You gotta hit the little mute button at the bottom.
How's that?
There we go.
You.
Hi, guys. No, I love your gin. I want to get another bottle of it. It was so really exclusive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody I shared it with liked it.
Thank you so much. Well, luckily, Surf Market is carrying it, so it's so easy to get now out there on the coast.
Very good. When I drive down to Wallala, I'll pick one up.
Awesome.
He lives up in Elk. And also, John, we were just talking, you could buy these kits on her website, and it tells you how to make the cocktails. It gives you the ingredients, and what a great holiday gift too. So
anyway,
right.
it's a really good gin. Nice work.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, so nice to be here today. Thanks, Leanne. Great to meet you, John.
Nice
You're
to meet
welcome.
you.
Good to have you on, Tara. And now we're going to talk about holiday movies and TV shows.
Oh, fun. All right. Bye,
Tara.
guys.
Bye. Well,
Hey
hello,
there,
Leanne.
John. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning. Good morning.
I'm glad to have you on. And I need to remind the audience now that they're listening to Peggy's Place on KGUA in Wallala, 88.3 FM. And we're streaming around the world at kgua.org. There's an app called the Air Pocket app you can download to your favorite device. And then we're also live on YouTube right now, John. And John and I are cohorts on a documentary we have in production called Seabiscuit's Legacy. He's writer and producer. He's been on it with me from the beginning. He's a filmmaker from way back and a retired film professor as well. And he has been involved with several different productions that have come to our coast. One of them is Need for Speed. Time Crafters, The Treasure of Pirates Cove was another one of them. And then down in Los Angeles, one of the producers that we interviewed together, John and I did for the Mendocino Film Festival, created this show or documentary called Dean Martin, The King of Cool. And John was in on that one, and that was Tom Donahue, correct, John?
Tom
Donahue.
Yes.
Right. And you were also an associate programmer for the American Documentary Film Festival that's coming up this next, March or April timeframe?
Yeah, end of March.
End of March in Palm Springs. And he travels throughout Europe seeking films to showcase there. And again, like I mentioned before, John and I have together done several interviews at the Mendocino Film Festival with film producers and celebrities who come there. And we find out more about how they went through their process of raising money and producing their films. So it's been fun working with you on that all these years, John. But we have John on today because he has this wealth of information in his brain about wonderful shows to watch. And we just got to thinking, well, Peggy and I did, about the holiday season and what are some of the good shows that we can watch.
Well, I'm certainly glad you asked, because there are so many Christmas movies. I mean, you can go online and see the 100 best Christmas movies. I particularly like Christmas. I always have. I have my kids. We still celebrate Christmas all together. When I was growing up, we had Christmas. I love the lights. I love the decorations. One year I was in Leipzig. It wasn't Christmas. It was November, but the whole town looked like a Christmas village. It was so cool. So I love Christmas, and I love Christmas movies. And out of all of them, I'm just going to talk about a few. One of my favorites is a film called Love Actually. And it's all filmed in London, essentially, between Emma Thompson and Alan Rickman. They're a married couple, and Emma Thompson's brother is Hugh Grant, and he's just become prime minister. And essentially, the whole film is about relationships at Christmas time. It's very moving. It's very funny. It's completely engaging. There's definitely some mature moments in it, even though one of the main characters is a young boy who's I think in the 6th or 7th grade. It's about him trying to meet up with a girlfriend. But there are some mature moments in there, just to give you a heads up on that. But it's a really delightful film, very, very powerful, and deep. So it's a wonderful film. It's also happy.
And I can't believe it, but it's a film I have not yet seen.
Put it on your.
I haven't watched
It's so good, honestly. So anybody who sees it loves it. Bill Nye is in it. The soundtrack is great.
Oh, I like him too.
But there's a lot. There's more people in the cast. It's just it's an amazing look at relationships, at parenthood, all sorts of things. But it's you come away from that film feeling really good. And as an aside, I wanted to mention this. I've recently been watching the Ted Lasso series. I never thought that I would, but I sort of got hooked on it. And there's in season 2, episode 4, there's an episode called Carol of the Bells. And if you've seen Love Actually, and you watch this episode called Carol of the Bells, you'll see how many parallels. They really took a lot of ideas from Love Actually, and it's a great episode. So just wanted to mention that for those of you who might be Ted Lasso fans.
Well, why don't you take a moment to explain what Ted Lasso is?
Oh, I'm sorry. Ted Lasso is a streaming series about a man who had a successful kind of volleyball team in the United States, who was hired to coach a soccer team in England. Okay, and so it's all about that situation. Okay, and it's a relationship film. It's funny. It's full of wisdom, all sorts of things. So I wasn't certain that I would like it. In fact, I held off for a while, but once I got started in it, I really liked it. So it's a
Who
series.
plays the lead in it?
What's that?
Did
What's his name? Jason Sudeikis, something like that. He's gotten a couple of Golden Globes, and he's the writer and a producer. But that's so all the people in there are kind of new, So, but it's a good cast, and all likable characters, interesting situations, and it's not. Let me tell you, it's not only about soccer. You might compare it to something like Friday Night Lights, which wasn't only about football, So, at any rate,
so many streaming platforms. Which one is it on?
That one I think is on. Let me think about this. Is it HBO Max? Maybe. I'm not certain which one it's on.
I always Google it anyway. I say, where?
Yeah, everybody does. We all do that. Well, then let's follow this up with something else. Another favorite film of mine, excuse me, is a film called Holiday. And Holiday is with Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz, Jude Law, Jack Black.
I have seen this one. It is awesome.
It's so fun. It's a real the conceit is that Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet decide to change homes about Christmas time. They're both wanting a big change, and so Kate Winslet comes to Los Angeles, and Cameron Diaz goes to England in this little cottage, and it's all about how those things play out. And it's pretty good, again, about relationships, single parents, lots of humor, lots of fun, and a pretty uplifting and moving film. I mean, I put it in the same category as Love Actually. Both those two films are really, really worth seeing. Maybe you have seen them already. With my family, we've watched even as adults. So when Christmas time comes on, after all the presents and the food, we'll watch Love Actually. We'll watch Holiday. There's a couple other things we would watch too. But I want to mention some other things. There was a 1934 film called Babes in Toyland. and they probably called it Babes in Toyland to get some kind of interest in it. It's really about Laurel and Hardy in Toyland, and if you might not know Laurel and Hardy, but they were one of the first acting comedic duos on in movies. At any rate, they're this whole thing takes place in Toyland because it's around Christmas time, and Mrs. Peep can't pay her mortgage, and Laurel and Hardy try to help. They're Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and the evil Barnaby wants to close the place up and get the mortgage. He's got the mortgage, and he also wants to get a hold of Mrs. Peep's daughter, Bo Peep. So it's all around this. It's an amazing spectacle. Barnaby is thwarted, and he gets his boogeymen to come and attack Toyland, and it's a pretty amazing film. And also Amazon has that. It's been restored. It's in beautiful black and white. So if you want to go back in time and look at how people used to make movies and see this very amusing story about trying to save Toyland.
One of the reasons, too, we wanted to have you on to talk about these shows is because, there's a lot of up and down emotions during the holidays.
Yes.
It's not, it can be challenging for some people who may not have family or are older. And these are uplifting and fun films to watch.
Good point.
Bring your spirit up.
No, that's the whole point. That's what we like about Christmas, right? So speaking of uplifting, okay, there's another film. It's on Prime, also on Prime, and it's called The Snowman, and it's an animated piece about 27 minutes long, not to be confused with a sort of thriller called Snowman. Okay, this was I don't know what the year was on this, but anyway, it's an animated film. It's about a young boy who he builds a snowman, and it comes to life, and the snowman takes him to see Santa Claus. Okay, but there's no dialogue, hardly any dialogue. It's really good music, really good story. It's very moving. Honestly, from when my kids were little, we watched this film a lot. So The Snowman, the animated one, 27 minutes, definitely worth see, definitely uplifting. And it's short enough. It's not even a half an hour, so it's easy to watch.
Well, I was just looking up on Wikipedia, and apparently it came out in 1982, and it's British animated.
Yes.
And it's a symphonic poem that's based on Raymond Briggs's 1978 picture book of the same name.
Exactly.
So there you go. This is something I didn't know about either. This would be, it seems like fun for the family.
It is. It's fun for anybody. I mean, you can
fun for anybody.
You can watch this and you're going to like it. Okay. So, also connected to this in some way, it's a film that probably many people have seen, is Polar Express.
Right.
Okay. And this is also an animated film, a very expensive animated film with live action. Tom Hanks is in it, and you can tell it's Tom Hanks, but it's also an animated figure. And it's about a young boy who on Christmas Eve looks out his window. There's the train going, and he's invited to take the Polar Express to go see Santa Claus.
I have not seen this.
Oh, it's an amazing production. As I said, probably it was the most expensively made animated film until I don't know since then, but it's been but that was a very expensive film. It still made a pretty good profit. But it's all about this boy who goes and it's all these adventures on the train as he and other kids are going up to see Santa. Some things that happen, but it's a really nice animated film. Good for everybody. Polar Express and
Tom Hanks
and Snowman. Yeah, they're both animated. They're both really good.
I'd like to take a moment just to let our listeners know that this is Peggy's Place. I'm the guest host today, Leigh Ann Lindsay. I was a volunteer here for many years, about 4 years, and just returning to do a few guest host shows. And today my guest is John Osborne. I started to say Tom Donahue. Can you believe that?
Yeah, really. No, I'm not
John
Tom.
Osborne, a fellow I work with all the time. We're working on a documentary together, and he's been a longtime filmmaker, former film professor from Chico area, and he's living now in Mendocino County. He's had a home here for a long, long time, and just bought a new home up on the cliffs in Elk. And that's where we can see him today on YouTube. He's zooming in from his house in Elk. And I'm going to be talking a few more minutes with him about some of these great films, because John, he goes to Europe, he goes all over the world to look for films for the one documentary film festival in Palm Springs called the American Documentary Film Festival. And he's just a lover of film. And we've interviewed a lot of people over the years that have come to the Mendocino Film Festival. And he just has a wide network of friends and knowledge about films. So we are going to now return now to our conversation about that. He had just mentioned Polar Express and the Snowman. You also brought up Babes in Toyland, the Laurel and Hardy film from 1934, and also Ted Lasso, season 2, episode 4, and then also Love Actually. So those are all great suggestions, John.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Leanne, as you know, last year I was associate producer on this. Actually, it was early this year, associate producer on a film about Dean Martin,
Right.
The King of Cool. And what happened in my research with that is that I went back and, I looked at some of because I'm curious about Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and this is probably what might appeal to those of you who lived in another time in a different era in the United States when Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin were, icons in the public.
Jerry Lewis too, and that's part of the film. I really enjoyed watching this documentary. Tom did a great job, but you guys did a great job.
Well, it led me to some other things about Dean Martin. One of which is that Dean, it's called the Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra Family Christmas. And it's, there was a Dean Martin show on TV, and this is one of those from that particular series. This was in 1968, and it's hard to find. I was looking up today or yesterday, and I found something on weta.org, We the Passport. You can sign up and make a donation, and you can watch this episode. And it's an amazing TV production of Frank's family and Dean Martin's family getting together. The kids are singing. They've got all these skits, and it's actually pretty moving and a really a nice look at Christmas of the past. I mean, it's definitely dated. It's in a time when Christmas is a little bit different than it is now, somewhat. But these episodes are really good. And I wanted to mention that after that one, Dean did 2 more. He did a Christmas show in 1968 and in 1972. Both of these are online. They're both on YouTube. And it's wonderful to watch the skits, see who shows up. William Holden, all sorts of people show up. And it's the Christmas show, so there's lots of singing, and it definitely is nostalgia, Leanne, and it'll take you back a little ways, but they're fun. There's a lot of laughter, because it's it's in some ways, some of the skits you might think of Laugh-In or something like that, you know what I mean, or even Saturday Night Live, because they do these funny little skits. But there's also some great singing, some great people that are there, and I think it's worth watching. So,
well, speaking of nostalgia, I've lately, over the past few years, dug back into some of the older shows, Dick Van Dyke and I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
Even I Dream of Jeannie, and MASH is one of my recent ones to rewatch as well. Just some of the older classics that we may have grown up with. And there are a lot of people in our age range along the coast here that are listening in that, they probably grew up with these shows too.
Yeah. Well, as an aside to that, I think one of my favorite series, and probably for many of the listeners and viewers, is the Downton Abbey series.
That's a favorite of a lot of people I know. Yes.
And it seems to me, and I was going to look this up, and maybe you can while I'm talking, Leanne. but I think they made two full-length features after the seasons were over, and I think the first one was like the Christmas one, and it was really really good. I mean, I've liked all the Downton Abbey stuff, but it was like they had a little Christmas edition. So it was just something mentioning that too for Downton Abbey fans. You've probably already seen it, but if you haven't, you can watch it without having any background at all. It
It's
works
actually
really well.
called the Downton Abbey Christmas Special, and you can look it up online.
There you go. I think I forgot to mention that, but it's been on my mind. So that's a great one also. Well, let's see a couple of other things I want to mention here. There's a very famous action thriller Christmas movie called Die Hard.
Oh, yes.
Bruce
My
Willis.
mother used to watch those. She was a fan of all the Die Hard series.
Yes. Well, Bruce Willis is a policeman who comes back to his wife's Christmas party, and mayhem happens. And so throughout the film, even though it's a Christmas film, it's definitely an action thriller. And Bruce Willis is so young, so it's worth, if you're interested in something with a little bit more action, then that's it. Okay, it's amusing, and it has its share of violence, but it's all at Christmas time. So
Well, it's not like Squid Game. That's one I've been watching lately that is really over the top, like Lord of the Flies meets Hunger Games meets something. I don't know. No, I don't recommend that right now. We're talking
that's not a
uplifting
Christmas
films.
movie, man. That's not a Christmas.
Right.
Yeah, but another film that I think is appropriate for Christmas, mostly because it takes place in the wintertime, and it definitely is a little bit darker, but it's called The Golden Compass.
I actually really like Golden Compass.
Yeah,
Right.
it's about a young girl who is she's realizing, and we're seeing that the state or the government is the magisterium, is what they call it, is really controlling everybody and everybody's thoughts, and she's trying to get away from that. And there's a group, it's like a mini Star Wars, but it's in a magical kind of time. It looks medieval at times. It looks futuristic. It's all sorts of things that are happening. But she has some pretty amazing adventures, and she tries to rescue these kids that are taken. And it's a very rewarding and good movie, moving, thoughtful, and I think it's perfect for Christmas as well. And there's some wonderful characters, especially the polar bear character. So that's something else, and I'm glad you've seen that, Leanne. It's another good one.
How long were you a film professor in Chico?
I taught film for about 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah, so I had a good run, and excuse me, when I retired from teaching film, as you mentioned, I got a job on a film called Need for Speed. And then I worked on several films around Mendocino after that.
Well, you go back to Need for Speed, because I remember when that was filmed, I was actually living in Irish Beach at the time.
Right.
And they'd block off the roads to do those racing scenes, and you get to see all the cars that were in the film with the cameras on top. And
absolutely,
they went through Highway 128 through Anderson Valley, and the movie actually ends at the Point Arena Lighthouse.
Yes, it's a great finale. I mean, I was in every scene in the portions of the film that were out here in California. And although you can't see me, I'm behind a tree, behind a bush, just outside of the line of vision. But it was really fun to have this production here. However, I can tell you that many commuters and travelers were not happy with us.
I know.
Because we'd have to stop traffic while the cars were racing, so
and it's just Highway 1 up and down the coast. That's our main artery. And you cut that off.
128's the same way.
And 128's the same way.
And what's the one that goes to from Boonville to Ukiah? 263 or something like that.
That was also blocked off. I remember, because I came over one of those days, and the whole crew was out there on one of the top turnouts, and they had all their equipment out there. And I think I even saw a photograph of you once standing in that location.
That's right. We were up there for about 4 days. But it really began something great for me because since then I've been able to work on some really, really good movies in Mendocino. And one you mentioned was Time Crafters, the Treasure of Pirates Cove, which is so it makes Mendocino look so good. It's really, you're in and out of the little places, and I think it's a great Mendocino type film. It's perfect if you're interested in that, and Fort Bragg too. So at any rate, and I worked on this film called Crabs, which has just come out. It's streaming online. You can get it on Amazon, and it's about the Fukushima fallout and the radiation got to these horseshoe crabs, and they became enlarged and unhappy, and they are attacking the coast along Mendocino and Fort Bragg. So it's there's it's a little bloody at times, and it's totally campy in every way possible.
Yeah, and there were so many people in Fort Bragg and Mendocino that wanted to be in the film. You know, they were just everybody was excited about participating in it.
Yeah.
And I think they even screened it at last year's Mendocino Film Festival.
They did, yeah. It was great. It was the first time it was shown in a big venue like that. So
and, that's directed and produced by Pierce
Berolzheimer.
Yes.
Yeah. So at any rate, let's go back to Christmas, right? Wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, a good time, good movies with friends, family, or by yourself, popcorn or eggnogs, whatever it is that you might like to enjoy. But I wish all of you a happy Christmas, happy holiday season. Enjoy the movies. You'll see plenty that I haven't mentioned here. And Leanne, thank you for having me on your show.
We actually have just a few more minutes before we actually depart. So in that time frame, we could talk about the upcoming Mendocino Film Festival too. That's going to be in June of this coming year, 2023. 1 through 4. So they're actually going to come down to the Sea Ranch Lodge in January, and they're going to have something. I think it could be on President's Day. I can't remember what weekend it is, but it's a holiday weekend, and they're going to be showing some of the shorts that they showed last year. And one of them was about the ocean that was shown at the Sebastopol Film Festival that I really liked, about how to recycle some of the plastics in the ocean and what some of the different is called 3 Ocean Advocates.
Right.
And so they're going to be showing that here at the Sea Ranch Lodge coming up in January. And I put together the director of the Mendocino Film Festival, Angela, along with the Sea Ranch Lodge, Christina, and they got together and cooked up this great scheme.
Excellent.
And
we don't know yet any of the films that they're going to be showing in
not yet.
Film Festival. In terms of our film festival in Palm Springs, it's the American Documentary and Animated Film Festival.
That's right, animated.
We're screening stuff now, so we no final decisions. We're trying to decide what to include in the program and what not to. So it's a good time of year to be looking at movies.
And I'm trying to look up and see what the date of this next year's AmDocs is, and I'm not seeing it right now. But you said the end of March timeframe, is it?
Yeah.
Let me just see. And that's down in Palm Springs, and it is
in Palm Springs. Yeah.
Founded by Teddy Gruya, with whom you work.
Yes.
I don't have the rest, but we're getting
March 30 to April 3.
Thank you, John. And John, thanks so much for joining me this morning as I've been guest host here at Peggy's Place.
Pleasure.
Yes.
You take care. Again, nice to talk to your listeners and your viewers. And again, Merry Christmas to all. Bye.
Thank you, John. Take care.
Wow.
All right. And we are going to be signing off in just a moment. We're going to be going to Native America Calling at the top of the hour. And I'm going to pull up that now. And we are KGUA in Wallala 88.3 FM. We are streaming around the world at kgua.org. And we were live on YouTube today. I'm going to say goodbye to all of our YouTube watchers.